Welcome to the Parkinson's Research Guy, where we break down the latest research on Parkinson's disease into clear, useful takeaways. Whether you're living with Parkinson's or caring for someone who is, we'll help you turn science into steps that improve your quality of life. Hey folks, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a study by Yang and colleagues that's called Effectiveness of Progressive Resistance Training in Parkinson's Disease. It's a systemic review and meta-analysis from 2023. So in this study, the authors aim to evaluate the effectiveness of progressive resistance training in people with Parkinson's disease, and this just means weightlifting. They conducted a systemic review and meta-analysis of a randomized controlled trials comparing progressive resistance training to other training programs or non-training controls, which meant that there was a group in the study that just didn't do anything. And really what they want to see is there a difference between the group that lifted weights and the group that didn't do anything. So this included adults with Parkinson's disease undergoing progressive resistance training interventions. The outcomes of interest included gait, which looked at freezing of gait, stride, and velocity. They also looked at muscle strength, obviously, balance, and quality of life. So again, the big thing that they were looking at was the comparison between progressive resistance training and other training programs or groups that didn't do any intervention. They just kind of did what they were normally doing. So here are some of the key findings where they were specifically looking at what happened with the group that lifted weights. So this group showed a significant improvement in freezing of gait, which means that they had less episodes of freezing, which is really great. The next key finding was that they showed increased muscle strength, which you would really hope so if you're lifting weights. A really important one that they also noted was that the quality of life scores on the various surveys that they gave went up, again, statistically significant amounts, which meant that people were generally happier and felt better when they were lifting weights. The other thing they looked at was gait velocity, stride length, and balance, and something called the timed up and go, which basically is an assessment looking at fall risk. All of these indicators improved in the weightlifting group, which meant people walked faster. They had bigger and longer strides, which means you have bigger steps when you're walking. The tug test and the Berg balance test also both improved, showing that these patients had a lower risk of falling, which is a great thing. So then we look at the data, and all of this suggests that progressive resistance training is beneficial for certain specific outcomes in Parkinson's disease. Like we've already said, notably, this means a decrease in freezing of gait, and improved muscle strength, and improved quality of life, which is really great and definitely something that would be beneficial to people with Parkinson's disease. Now, the authors made special note that the type of resistance training and weightlifting can obviously vary a whole lot. Just like always, we strongly recommend you sit down and meet with your physical therapist in order to have them design the plan that is most beneficial to you. Now, we also wanted to talk about some practical implications. So if you're watching this and you're a clinician or a physical therapist working with people with Parkinson's, including progressive resistance training to targeted muscle areas and big, strong, functional movements may help with gait freezing, may improve quality of life, and you should set realistic expectations regarding improvements in gait speed, stride, and strength by adding weight training. These programs in people with Parkinson's disease should consider how to adequately load and progress that load, focusing on strength gains, and this also may complement other modalities that you use in the clinic. So this is gait training, balance training, etc. Now, for people with Parkinson's, the big take home is pretty clear. engaging in strength training under supervision might yield meaningful benefits, especially in muscle strength, quality of life, and gait speed and balance, which are big things that we're trying to do at any time. So, in conclusion, this study looks at progressive resistance training and states that it can offer meaningful benefits for people with Parkinson's disease, especially with respect to muscle strength, freezing and gait, quality of life, and balance. They do note that this is obviously not a panacea or all cure-all for all gait mobility impairments in Parkinson's disease. For optimal rehabilitation and for optimal benefits, resistance training, weightlifting should be part of a multi-interventional approach rather than just the sole intervention. But the study does conclude that this is a very beneficial thing that they recommend be part of the routine. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope this is beneficial, and we hope you enjoyed this review. Now, as with any other exercise, we recommend strongly that you check in with your physician and your physical therapist to make sure that this is the right type of exercise for you and that it's appropriate for you to do in your current program. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Parkinson's Research Guide. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to help us continue creating great content.